Hi again, wrestling fans, and welcome to an award-seeking edition of AIWF Ringside Wrestling. I am Mad Matt Carter, being joined as always by Brian and Reagan Danzig and Stephen Hayes. We are all Hall of Famers on this panel. This is your Hall of Fame independent wrestling panel. We are certainly glad to have you along with us today. It's August 25th, the time of recording. Whenever you're listening to this or watching on YouTube, thank you for joining us. And we are just 6 days away from Deal with the Steel. Oh man, it's coming down. I mean, it's hard to believe it. You know, it's here we are. I say it a lot, but the older you get, kids, I'm telling you, it's going to get worse. Time seems to speed up. It seems like we were just coming out of winter break, and here we are with our late summer night classic, Deal with the Steel, coming up this Saturday at Veterans Park. We've got the full card now. We're going to talk about it, break it down for you tonight, and guys, I will just go around the room. We'll start with you, Brian and Reagan. Sum up your excitement and your anticipation for Deal with the Steel.
Well, it's always I would say, besides like Fright Night, Deal with the Steel is like the AIWF big show. Like, there's nothing like wrestling in a cage, watching wrestling in a cage. It just adds like this extra, not just danger, but like mystique to the matches, and it's harder for, if you're in a faction or a tag team, your whole dynamic changes because, those people can't, get into the cage. So it's going to be interesting to see some of these guys who are used to that outside interference kind of be neutralized by, by Nikita Koloff. So I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Yeah, that's definitely the match of the night when in a show that has a lot of really good matches. That's definitely, I think, going to be the one that's going to have all eyes on it, just because of having so many legends being involved in that matchup.
And yeah, I'm excited too about the Barbarian. As everybody knows, I'm rewatching Nitro in order, and right now I'm dead in the middle of Faces of Fear, going through a pretty big run here with before the NWO ruins everything completely, and we just watched them beat the ever living shit out of Brian Knobs on a pay-per-view. So I enjoy. They are the Barbarians, one tough SOB. So I'm looking forward to seeing that also. So.
Stephen Hayes, I don't know if you're going to be able to be with us this year with your work schedule and whatnot, but if not, what Deal with the Steel? I know conjures up some memories for you. I don't know if they're good or bad, but you can talk us through.
They're always good. They're always good, whether you're dealing out an ass whooping or receiving it. It's always a good thing with Deal with Steel. Mm-hmm. Looking at the card, because where I don't get to make it around like I would like to, Joe Harrison and Mickey, all about this. What y'all were talking about with Ty and Lodi and Lewis and Barb. That's definitely an all eyes. I think the one that interests me more, really truly though, is Mecca and Corey.
Mm-hmm.
Just because it's Mecca and Corey. I mean, the two look like they're a walking case of the munchies, and they're going up against THC. I mean, come on, work with me here.
Yeah, and that THC has given them they're the last time Buddy Flowers and Metallica met Corey and Mecca. I mean, they gave them a run for their money. I mean, they almost neutralized them, with so it'd be interesting. I know it's not Buddy this time, it's JT Mawson. And
just the fact of I've known Corey for a long time, and Corey is the definition of fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. It's hard to get something over on Corey more than once. So that'll be the one cookie. I'm looking forward to hearing about.
Yeah, Corey's a sharp cookie. I'm looking forward to that match because you know, Corey and Mecca, you know, they're the champions. You know, they've not been champions long, but they are the champions. But the higher calling has been on a hot streak the last few months, and Metallico especially, you know, has really shown a lot. And so I hope they're not too overconfident, Corey and Mecca. I mean, coming into that match, because I know for a fact that Metallico and JT Moss are going to be ready.
Corey exists on no other plane than overconfident. I will say that.
Yeah, well,
That might be an understatement.
Yeah, he's always overconfident, but the question is, will he underestimate his
There you
opponent?
go. There you go.
That's and with their run-ins in the past, I don't think he's going to make that mistake again.
No.
Quick poll. I know the answer to this question before I ask it, but just for our listeners, did anybody spring $50 and watch the Wembley Stadium event that AEW put on this afternoon?
I did not spring the money, but I listened to it on TikTok with somebody. So
I watched the IndyCar race from Portland. So congratulations, Willpower. Good strategy with the tires there, buddy. That New Zealander's slick, man. He's smart and fast, you know. So let's see. So I understand, you know, I hope everybody enjoyed it. And, you know, Stephen Hayes, you remarked that you saw some pictures and the place looked pretty full.
I mean, for having to cover what was covered, yeah, once again, 25,000 less than last year, but still, I mean, it is a good sized crowd for an AEW show, and you can't fault any for that. So
no, and it's always the law of diminishing returns. When something comes the first time, you're all excited about it and you can't miss it, and then they come back and you're like, well, you know, we went to the first one. Money's a little tight this year. You know, we could skip it. They'll be back, and they've already announced that they're going to do Forbidden Door, right? Is that what we were saying before we went on the air? Okay.
Yeah. Wembley,
Forbidden Door and New Japan, them and New Japan will be there next year. So
yeah. When I was in the 90s, Forbidden Door meant something completely different.
It's like how peach meant something completely different when I was growing up.
Say what? What
peach?
Oh yeah.
The peach emoji. That's off the topic. Sorry, you just brought up something that. Anyway, but
what does it mean now? What I think it probably means?
Means your butt.
Yeah. Oh.
So no,
peach,
it doesn't
cherry,
mean
eggplant.
I was thinking around the other side.
Yeah, that's what it was when I was growing up, but now it's apparently the butt. So.
Well, that's probably because of that water tower down there on 85 in Gaffney, because that's a peach, but it looks like a giant butt.
That's true.
It's because Gaffney's ass.
But I listened and read about the show, which was, I don't know if listening's any more entertaining or less entertaining than watching it sometimes. So, you know, I'm trying to think what I'm trying. My brain is discombobulated today. So I listened. I know that I listened to the Swerve Strickland and Bryan Danielson match, and Bryan Danielson, crowd was really into it. For what I heard, you know, with the commentary and stuff, seemed to be a really good match. And Bryan Danielson did get the belt. So I figured this, and they played the final countdown after he won. So I figure his final countdown will be till next All In, if I can make a guess. So,
I question the world title being on a part timer. It's the same problem I had when Brock Lesnar was champion in WWE. It's like, but it makes it real exciting when he does show up. I will say that.
But you know, you're right. It's like Swerve Strickland was out there. I love Swerve Strickland. I liked him when he was in Lucha Underground. You know, so like, you know, he was always there. He's always defending. He was always, he seemed to be a really good champion. This is my other problem with AEW. And I watched 2 shows this week, which I was underwhelmed for both, considering they were shows leading up to a big pay-per-view. But I never know for certain who is a good guy and who's a bad guy in AEW. Like, I know Daniel Bryanson going in, but they had tried to turn him a little And then I get, but like just the last pay-per-view, Swerve Strickland was in the cage match for AEW. So it's like, I guess but I feel like they do that a lot. Like I understand it every once in a while, like that, but he's just wherever he needs to be. But I feel like they do that a lot where even if I'm watching, and I've been watching pretty, consistently for me, like sometimes not knowing who I'm supposed to pull for and who I'm not supposed to pull for, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
AEW exists in shades of gray.
Yeah.
They're unless for that little bit, I guess you would take Tony Storm and
Yeah.
the black and white and the shades of gray there, pardon the pun.
Yeah. Well, she lost her title to Mariah May, and from what people said on the internet, it's one of the best AEW matches they've ever seen.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
And then the other women's match was DMB versus Mercedes Moné.
Yeah.
And
you can call her Sasha Banks.
Sasha Banks.
Well, the thing is, like I said, I was listening and not watching. But the thing I noticed that really pops out when you're listening is that crowd was dead. Every once in a while, you'd get a CEO DMD chat, DMD,
Dr. Britt Baker, DMD.
Yeah. And that would happen every once in a while. But then, that's one of those things that's very easily done to start a chant, but it didn't last very long.
Or piped in.
They were directly behind Max and Will, though, weren't they?
And that's because a lot of people were saying too that they should have put that Mariah May match on the top card. And that's that thing again. I was talking to Brian. It's like that's the thing that AEW does is they put all their eggs in the baskets of the big names, and then it always falls flat, a la WCW again. So I can't wait to see if I can get some video of that. I was really following that really well. I really like Toni Storm. I think she's a really good wrestler. Like I'm not even going to say female wrestler. She is a good wrestler. And but I don't know.
I've never known quite what to make of Toni Storm. Even when she was in NXT, I never knew quite what to make of her. I mean, I liked her wrestling ability, but something just seems a little off about her. I don't know what it is. Could be just personal opinion.
The new gimmick is really good. I really enjoy this time.
I really like that gimmick.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a big fan of a gimmick that's done well.
Mm-hmm.
And it's done very well. And
she plays it perfectly. The old actress with the mid-Atlantic accent. Yeah, she pulls it off flawlessly.
And when she was doing the crazy stuff, she looked like Joan Crawford. And What About Baby Jane? So she did an excellent job. And and then all the other matches, there was like a casino battle royal that not Edge, excuse me.
Ricochet. We got Ricochet in that one.
Was Ricochet? Did he go
he's
over
fine. Yeah.
Got Nigel McGuinness back after 10 years. So I was happy to see Nigel actually cleared to wrestle and back in the ring.
He actually got in the ring?
Mm-hmm, yeah, he was in that battle.
Okay.
Had Zack Sabre Jr. there.
Yeah. I'd like to be able, that's another one I wished I'd been able to see. So I don't know. I'm just look out for clips. So I wish I had the money to pay $50 for pay-per-view, but I just don't.
Don't worry. If you did it once, you wouldn't do it again. I did it. I did the one back in March for Sting's last match, but that was a combination of wanting to see Sting's last match and to see the Greensboro Coliseum that full for wrestling one last time.
Mm-hmm.
But you never know. WWE might be able to fill it up one day, but I don't foresee AEW being able to do that. Not right now. We'll see. I mean, who knows?
What's so funny is all I keep hearing about how great this Warner Brothers deal is going to be, and I don't see how this is like going to be profitable for them. So I'm curious to see what happens with it. Do honestly, what I'd like to see from them that I wouldn't, and I thought about this while I was watching the shows this week, every match except for Tony Storm and Paige, she's terrible. Soraya, whatever her name was, she is terrible. And I don't know if it's because she protected her neck. Anyway, you know what I like to see for them? A women's show. They have such good women wrestlers. They have some, I know everybody says WWE has the best. I will slightly disagree. They have that now. This is the thing with the women's, Matt. It's the name, the women who are names that are terrible. Their undercard, a lot of their undercard is really good.
Mm-hmm.
Like their Japanese girls are good. You know, some of it's just, I don't know, maybe once a month.
I've seen Rio wrestle in person. I would not call that good. I would call it. I've seen Rio wrestle in person. I would not call that good. I would call that. I am amazed that she survives because she is so tiny.
I don't. She's what I consider a name. I'm talking about like the girl that has the kendo stick. I'm very tired today. I started back to work last week and I'm still surviving to this week. Like those guys, like she's really good. Like, I don't know. Again, it's one of those ones where if you just focus on the ones that they always put on television, you would think their women's wrestling stinks because it's just the same issue WWE had with Sasha Banks is that she stinks. So.
Well, she was okay in a controlled environment. Like I saw Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch in a Falls Count Anywhere match in person at Clash of Champions in Charlotte back before the pandemic, and that was one of the best women's matches I've ever seen.
It's hard not to be good when you have Fit Finley as your agent.
Right. Right. Well, and part of that was they where we were sitting, they actually fought right next to us, right at the end of our aisle, and that was pretty fucking awesome.
Well, and you have to think about it too. You have to when you're in the crowd, like you can't pull anything.
No, you lay that shit in.
Yeah,
and they were. You could hear the when Becky was hitting her with right hands. You know, I mean, it's like okay. So, well, you know, we'll see. It's a shame, you know, because the booking is what it is in AEW, and if what you're saying is true, and all the talent is not being utilized on TV, that's an issue. If you're putting your bad wrestlers on TV and the good ones are mulling around at the bottom. There was a good women's wrestler on AEW a few weeks ago. She took a pinfall from Camille. Her name's Clara Carter.
Oh God,
there you
go. She's pretty good. So.
Another one who happens to be female, who is a good wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so there you have. It sounds weird what I'm saying, but like you can call some people a good female wrestler, but there are some women out there who are just they are good wrestlers, and Claire is one of those. So.
Yeah, Clara's good. Well, I hope she keeps moving forward. I'm sorry. Every time there's this video floating around online of Clara waving to the crowd while she's out there waiting to come back from commercial. And, you know, we were saying they only put 2,500 in the Joel Coliseum that night, which was not Clara's fault. She was not advertised. Okay. So not on you, Clara. You were there to do what you did a great job. But I wish you could have lasted a little longer, but Camille's a big girl. And so, you know, hey, it is what it is. But like you could see Clara like waving and pointing to people in the crowd. And it's like, I think Clara was able to see and actually have a conversation with everybody she knew in the crowd because it was so small that night.
I'm so bummed I missed that show.
I watched a replay on one of the on-demand services. I watched that match, and I thought, you know, her and Jasmine did about as good.
They called the mill brick house, right? Is that right, Steve?
They used to in NWA. They called it a brick house.
I think they still call her brick house in AEW.
Yeah,
she is a brick house.
Yeah.
We'll see how they
with all this being said, I would like to point out, just in case this little podcast of ours ever makes it to Tony Khan's ears, I'm willing to be a paid shill under contract to counterpoint every bad thing we say about your shows on this podcast and just bring up your product.
Oh God, yes. I'll quit my cute job to do that.
Yeah, he has everybody else under contract, why not me?
I, in fact, will not sell out to you, Tony, unless you pay me to be devil's advocate just to argue with these people. So, no, I don't know, man. You know, if he drove a dump truck full of money up to my house, I don't know if my attitude would change or not. You know,
I don't
Ted
have-
DiBiase never lied. Everybody's got a price. I know what
Yeah.
mine is.
Yeah, I hope I never find out what mine is.
Right. Yeah.
Oh,
I try, because I do believe that we try to cover wrestling with some shred
We
of
do.
dignity and integrity
We
on
do.
this program, and I always have tried to cover it that way. You know, I've had people tell me, you know, hey, when we go on the air, tell everybody it was sold out. You know, well,
Hanging from the
but it
rafters, baby.
wasn't. But it wasn't. You know, there was a whole section over there that was empty. You know, I can't do that.
I ain't gonna lie. We left Roncevette, West Virginia on that first time going up there, and I made the statement on every social media I have. There is nothing professional about 4 paid.
Oh my God.
Was that the one? Was I with y'all on that one? Because I
think
went up
so.
there one time
Which
and
one?
I had been promised 300 people, and we go in and it's just like pretty much 4. Yeah,
That must
Yeah,
have been after.
nothing professional about 4 paid.
did get some good footage of Lurch that night that we were able to use in intros and promos and stuff
Yeah,
going forward, but that was about it.
By the way, I'd like to apologize for Tim Dolan for my last statement there.
Well,
It is what it is.
yeah, it is.
Yeah,
what it
Truth
is.
not
and-
Tim's fault. Not Tim's
Truth
fault.
in podcasting.
Oh, Brian, you probably remember this. Remember when we did the double shot in War, West Virginia, and Beckley the next day, and we had been promised like 200 to 300 people in Beckley, and we get there, and it's like, God, I want to say 15 or 20, if that.
Yeah.
Remember, it was the night that everybody got drunk and took over the hotel there in Bluefield.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember. Yeah, I remember a time in Graham where it was Corey Etzel pre-wrestling, Stutzy and what's his name? It's not Stonefish,
Oh, Kingfish.
Kingfish, and I think
Yeah.
that was it. That was like the only people there. So that was also the nights the light went out. So I guess we didn't have to refund any money.
Well, no, I think we did. Yeah, what we did is luckily we had the excuse that that there were no lights, so we couldn't have the show. But the few people there were a couple more people besides them, but not many. But we were like, let's just give them a few matches until it gets too dark in the building. And the few people that did show up, let's do 2 or 3 matches. And I remember I was second match, and I can't remember. It was one of those 3 guys. I can't remember which one it was, but they yelled out, "This is a dark match," and they laughed. And I
That's
said,
Stutzy.
"Yeah,"
That's just Stutzy.
and I said, "Not as dark as the next one."
Shoot. I think we had a couple of those in Smith Grove also. Oh God.
Man, I had always heard such good things about Smith Grove, and but the worst was Town. I've been to Smith Grove when there were bad crowds and decent crowds, or tolerable.
Yeah.
No, I don't want to say decent. Let's buck it down a little bit.
Tolerable.
Tolerable, where they made enough noise that it was like it might have only been 25 people, but they were into it, and were like jumping up and down and screaming and yelling. That's okay. You don't mind that. At least I don't. Brian, you wrestled. It helps when they're into it, right?
It does.
Yeah. I mean, so
definitely.
It's not the worst when you can hear yourself breathe.
God, man, do you guys remember Wilson? No, was it Wilson, North Carolina? Somewhere way down in the eastern part of the state we went in 99, and the place was full, but they were dead. It was probably 150, 175 people in there. We were all excited. And we go out and we get the show going. The bell rings for the first match, and they're just sitting there on their hands, and they sat there.
Maybe they're like a Japanese crowd.
I don't know, man.
Well, one of the first places me and my friends ever went was Smith Grove, and I don't remember it not being a lot of people. The weird thing about Town was, I don't think I knew the person who said. I ended up working with the daughter of the person who would set those shows up, which was really weird. And I think he just did it because he loved wrestling, so it didn't matter to him. Because
Right.
he's also the same guy that got us into West Forsyth Gym
Yeah.
those times. And I think he just loved wrestling, and like, so he's like, well, I'm gonna get him to come to Town, and I just enjoy it. So
Well, the thing is, we like in the early '90s, we would pack Town.
Mm-hmm.
It was a really good town to run. That and Smith Grove, both of those, back in the early '90s. Yeah, we would pack both of those places. But then, when we tried going back years later, it just wasn't the same.
You know what blew my fucking mind though? Well, we're far enough in, I can probably get away with that. Was when we went to North Wilkesboro the first time when I was with you guys and now I knew you guys had been there a bunch before I got there, but I went with you guys for the first time in '97. That was the year after the Speedway closed. And after the Speedway closed, the town began to dry up immediately. And so when the boss man was like, we're going to North Wilkesboro, I was thinking, oh man, I don't know, this is going to be sad. And we go in there, man, and the people keep coming in. They keep coming in. They keep coming in. The show starts. They keep coming in. They keep coming in. They keep coming in. And they were rowdy. And I don't know if we had TV down there or what, but I remember a couple of times we went to North Wilkesboro Armory, and it was just fantastic.
Yeah, North Wilkesboro is a good wrestling town.
Town is where Billy got us kicked out got us banned from Elton Spears is wrestling.
How did he manage to do that? I remember hearing this, but I don't remember the details.
Okay, so me, Billy's girlfriend at the time.
Which one? Who was it?
Mary Kate.
Don't remember her.
She's the one that he moved to Mission, and then they moved back.
Oh,
anyway, that's neither here nor there. So it was, what was the
feeling uncomfortable yet, Dr. Payton, as we discuss your past girlfriends?
We're just airing your dirty laundry here online.
Don't you even think about coming on here and saying anything about Candace Ray, my friend.
I keep my mouth shut about that stuff.
Now we're even. No, I just wanted to cover that way he's not sitting there feeling some kind of way. All right, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So what was YWA?
Yeah,
it was YWA, and we lived here in Winston. We didn't live too far from Town, really. And we're like, well, let's go, because I've been trying to go to an Eldon Spears show forever. Because we tried to go one with Brad. We drove all the way there, and it was canceled, and we didn't even know it. Remember?
Yeah.
And anyway, and so we went to this one, and the first terrible thing that happened was they were selling these. They were selling these like hoods, like Mexican wrestling hoods.
Oh, okay, yeah, masks.
But they were just the holes were cut out, but like it looked like a psychopath cut them out.
Like they just took a pair of scissors. And
you know how you fold fabric like this and then you cut like the seam? That's what it looked like. So there were these kids who were wearing these, and they looked.
We have those masks in Tennessee, but we don't talk about them.
Maybe that's where he got the idea. And then the other thing is they had
to
this
a point
guy
at the time.
Yeah, came in Town in a motorcycle, and you know how small Town is. So that was, and then so we were it was a terrible show. I don't remember much other than it being terrible, and we weren't even that obnoxious. We were laughing.
But no, what got us banned though was Billy wrote for a website, like a humor website back then, and he did an article about that show, about how terrible it was, and then that's when Eldon got mad, and it was terrible.
But even when we got there, they were acting weird that we were there.
Oh yeah.
We were just laughing and having fun. We weren't being overtly a-holy, because why would we do that? But I remember we were sitting, and that guy told us to move, and we didn't. What was it when he was going to throw somebody into the? Oh, we did move, and then he said "ha ha" and didn't do it, and so we were just like, "That's stupid." But like, I don't know. It was just everything about it was terrible, and we were laughing and stuff. But Billy did write that article, and I don't know how it got back to Eldon Spears that he wrote that, but it did, and they officially banned us somehow, so we were never allowed to come back to a YWA show. So
I don't think they were around too much longer after that anyway. So
Yeah, so it didn't matter. Yeah, it didn't matter. Didn't matter.
I was super. Oh man,
I've
I
been
don't
banned
remember
from bad
anything.
wrestling. Oh no.
We've been to several bad. We went to one in Hickory one time and I think I've probably told this story 1,000 times, but it was terrible. And we're sitting there, and I'm like, well, this is terrible. And the woman in front of us turned around and was like, yeah, this is the first time they've ever run in a building. They usually set up in blah blah's backyard. And I went, oh, that's why it sucks.
Yeah, there we
There's a
go.
backyard. That's why.
Bunch of self-trained people. Okay.
Oh, that's what I forgot to talk about was Darby Allin's face with thumbtacks attached.
Yeah, you sent me a picture of that.
I did send you a picture of that. So Darby Allin, his match came out with thumbtacks affixed to his face. So
let me see if I can find that so I can share it with the viewers if we have any left.
I've seen Stranger Things. That's all I can say.
Sometimes this is for our own vanity, but it's fun. So nah.
Let's see. Where did you send? Did you send that via text or?
I did, but I can send it to you through your Facebook Messenger.
Yeah, send it Facebook Messenger if you would. I'd like to share it with the viewers.
Yeah, I guess I should start doing those on show days.
What was that? Was that backbreaker on a regular show?
It was on it was on the AEW show. It was on the one I watched is Rampage. Because that's what I was
watching. I don't hear backbreaker and automatically assume Roderick Strong.
It is the Messiah.
Yeah, I knew it.
I wish you could see this, Steve. I don't know that we can show it. Can we show it?
We'll probably get in trouble if we do. So,
but
it's all right. I'll find it. And
okay, I'll tell you what it was. He did a backbreaker onto the ring turnbuckle.
Mm-hmm. He had the guy sitting on the top of the turnbuckle, and he picked him up and dropped him halfway onto the turnbuckle.
Oh,
yeah. Make sure that there's nothing on this Facebook thing that gives away any of my life.
There's Darby Allin has glued thumbtacks to stick out of his face for his coffin match. Now you can see it. I don't know if it'll let me zoom in. It won't. But there you go. He kind of looks like a dime store version of Pinhead from Hellraiser.
Yeah.
I mean, he did like some kind of backdrop into the coffin, and then they ended up like tying him up, like hog tying him, and with tape and a belt. Feet were by a belt, and then they were going to set him on fire in the coffin or set the coffin on fire, which that's fine. Nothing's going to happen if you do that unless if you douse it in gasoline. And then Sting came out and did the double Scorpion death drops on the books. So, but just, I mean, yeah, maybe that looks cool with them on your face. Like maybe, but it's not.
Maybe.
Somebody I keep
kudos to you, Brian, for being polite during all this. But I mean, because Brian was everybody knows Brian was one of the most hardcore motherfuckers that ever set foot in an AIWF ring. And even these days, he's looking at this shit in AEW, and he has that same look on his face, like.
Well, but just because it's dumb, it's like it's that thing of back then when I was doing hardcore, and it was like there were these guys who it was like the promoter's nephew or their son, and they were like, well, they don't really know how to wrestle. We'll put some jean shorts on them and they can be the hardcore champion.
Mm-hmm.
And then and I'm like, and that's what people think I'm doing, and it sucks.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I'm a wrestler. I know how to wrestle, and I also do hardcore.
Right.
But it's like when Darby Allin is doing this dumb stuff, it's like you're giving it a bad name when you're doing this just nonsense.
I always put Brian over for it because I've seen Brian wrestle. I always put it over. The hardcore was an accentuation.
Yeah.
And what you're saying, like, I'd been AIWF for 8-9 years, moved to Tennessee. I get down here, wrestle for a promotion who shall remain unnamed. Immediately come in going, oh, you're one of Diesel's guys. You're our hardcore champ. How much hardcore did I ever do, guys? Hardly any.
Yeah, no.
Right.
So
Well,
it's like, yeah, okay, sure.
it's just a misconception. And, if you think Brian can't wrestle, you need to watch him and Justin Flash at Poff Town,
Yeah.
so, but,
Well, see, another difference between Brian's style and Darby Allin's style is when Brian would switch to hardcore, it was usually to hurt or finish off his opponent, not to hurt himself.
Right.
Darby Allin hurts himself. In Greensboro at Sting's last match, there was nobody on those glass window panes that were laying on those chairs. He just jumped off the ladder through glass.
They had glass in this one too, but it was just they poured it onto the. This is I didn't even think about this. They poured it onto the mat.
Onto the
How do
canvas.
you pour glass?
Backdrop. Somebody took a backdrop into it. I think.
Darby.
No.
Oh,
Yeah, it was Darby.
Perry.
But I'm like, it just occurred to me, now there's glass for everybody else to roll around in. Because, I mean, even if they swept it out, everybody on this panel knows how hard it is to get glass out of a mat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it loves to stick in the canvas. It'll find every looking crevice and cranny. And
I felt the same way having to follow somebody who was dumb enough to use thumbtacks before the second or last match, Inevitably, I'm going to find the 3 thumbtacks in the ring that somebody missed.
They're like the hardcore glitter.
Yeah.
We should
Pixie
make that
dust.
a shirt. But like, and it's just dumb. Somebody did. I keep seeing this every once in a while when people are commenting that they think Darby Allin looks like that kid that's like, what is this face paint? Says, I like turtles.
He does. He does look like a turtle kid.
Turtle.
I'm talking about every time somebody's talking shit about him, somebody puts up either that meme or that video or that picture. I like turtles.
He sees the grown-up turtle kid.
But anyway.
Darby. He's not going to be happy until he dies in a wrestling match. I mean,
and speaking of dying,
and I will also, come in behind everything I've just said is I admire Darby's talent. I question his decision-making skills, but I admire the talent and the heart, and God bless you for that. Use your brain.
Somebody said, tell him no.
Yeah. No, you are going to die. Stop.
Speaking of people dying in the ring, I'm glad Steve's here tonight because I want to hear his opinion too about Dory Funk's death match in Japan.
If anybody has earned the right to die in a wrestling ring, it is Dory Funk Jr.
He has earned it, but
I don't want to see it.
Right?
I don't either, but
they're saying
there are certain ones. There are certain ones that I hold above reproach on certain things, and Dory and Terry were 2 of them. So
well, Dory Funk and Terry Funk were both traveling NWA world champions when that was still a thing. So and they were legit. So yeah, he gets a pass on this one, you ask me. I mean, and then plus his tag team partner has stage 4 cancer. So he's on his way out anyway. So
but you have made the comment, Mad Matt Carter, that you shouldn't hit an old person because that'll get you arrested.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I'm not talking about at Walmart. This is a sanctioned match at in New Japan or wherever it was.
I just feel and I think it was a Terry Funk. Like it's been a year since Terry Funk died, and so it was like a celebration for him also, I think.
Yeah.
But I understand what y'all are saying. I completely understand what you're saying. But like, I don't know how I would feel if he died doing that.
Right.
That makes sense.
And I get that. 100%. I get it.
I don't like. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. No, you're fine. I 100% get what you're saying. It's just, I don't know. There's a part of me that romanticizes the whole, warrior myth ethos of go out on your shield, and Dory's earned that right that if he wants to, let him go out on his shield.
Yeah.
You know, that's
But Dory Funk was a booker in several promotions and a world champion and all that kind of stuff. He doesn't strike me as the type of guy that would be like on Darby Allin, that would be stupid enough to do something that he couldn't handle, even at
Yeah.
83.
Right.
And they're saying,
Yeah.
you know, they're showing this the still image that the fireworks going off behind them, and they were saying all these explosions and everything. But a video is not going to be made of it until September 1st. Will be available. Is
Yeah.
what I read in one of the articles.
Yeah, that's what I read too. That they're, I mean,
Who knows what happened?
I don't like light bulbs, so I think that's what some of the hits were. But
Right.
I mean, I've always said I don't like light bulbs. Brian said him, you know, so I don't know. Maybe that's what, like, I don't want to see his throat get cut and him bleed out on a mat because he's using. But then, like Brian said, it's easier to do that than take a bump at 83. So,
Hit me with this. I don't have to fall down.
If I had to choose a light bulb and taking a bump, you know, a light bulb isn't going to break my hip.
Yeah,
So,
that's true. Oh, mercy. Well, you know what? We need to talk about our Hall of Fame coming up.
oh yeah,
pretty quick here. It's going to be, it'll be before the Deal with the Steel show. And I wanted to run through the people that we got going into the Hall of Fame this year. You should be able to see the slideshow in full screen now. Richie Mitchell, who I did not even remember. I remember the name, but didn't remember until I saw this photo. He came with the Karate Men.
So
Matrix.
Brian and I have had our most violent matches with him and Chris. Because Richie was one of those guys who did not give a shit that I was a female. And once I stepped in that ring, I was his opponent. I was a wrestler, and he was going to murder me if he could. So,
he didn't get the job done, but it wasn't for lack of trying. That's for sure.
No, I did tell you he removed some of my wisdom teeth, though.
Yes,
you too.
Yeah, he kicked my feet. He kicked the tooth out at one time.
He got one of mine too.
Wow.
Thank God it wasn't one of my front ones. My mama might have murdered me.
So is Richie coming to the show? Is he going to actually be there in person to accept? Do we know?
He is.
And Chris Tenney is going to is scheduled to induct him.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I'm super excited. I mean, these are not only was Richie, like, you know, we went to a lot of battles with them. Like we were really good friends with him and Chris outside of wrestling, kind of to break the veil of wrestling. But we went to some we got into some interesting things on Friday night. So, you know, I'm really happy to see him going in. He deserves it. He also spent a time, I think, after him and Chris, God almighty, Chris, like he wrestled as Matrix. Also was maybe that's what you would remember him as, Matt, more. I don't know.
I just remember, you know, Richie telling me about a show that you guys all went to called The Human Mule, and they didn't call the main character the Human Mule because he had long ears. So I know it was some weird stuff going on there.
I don't know what this. What? What are you?
Was that? No. Look, Stephen Hayes, I thought I heard you laughing. I can't say. So did you get what I was getting at there?
I got what you were saying, and I'm just laughing at the denial of the other panel over there.
Oh, okay. I'm like Rodney Dangerfield right now. I'm too fast for this table over here. It's like, but anyway. So congratulations, Richie Mitchell. Also going into the Hall of Fame, Lewis Moore's partner in crime for many years, Matt Houston with the Mid-Atlantic Outlaws. Kind of weird,
well deserved.
Huh?
Well deserved.
I thought you said loser.
I did too.
Shit now.
So did you say that and you got called and now you're saying no?
I said well deserved.
Okay. Well, let's find out Matt Houston. I saw him a few years before the pandemic, pre-pandemic, at King's Hot Dogs one day. And I said, hey, man, because I knew Lewis was coming to the show that night. I said, hey, man, are you going to the show tonight? And he said, we'll have to wait and see, and gave me a smile. And that motherfucker kayfabed me. And he showed up to the show anyway. And I've always thought that was the most pointless fucking thing. I don't know why he said that to me, but maybe he didn't know who I was. I don't know. But anyway,
the one thing I always loved about Matt Matt was the North Carolina Hoyt Richard Murdoch. He reminded me so much of Murdoch, the way that he carried himself, the way that he would work. Loved Matt for that.
Well, that
That and
explains
just
that he was
quality
drunk.
human being.
Yeah, well, that explains
I
it.
don't
And
know
he
if he
was
had the
drunk.
Coors Black card or not, but you know.
What a great deal, right?
Mhm.
Okay. Also going into the Hall of Fame, Kenny, just Kenny, and the kids love Kenny. Oh my
Uh,
God, they
Yes.
I was
loved
super
Kenny.
excited to see this one. The kids loved him.
Yes.
And he was big and strong, and I don't think he knew his own strength. He could chuck a
No.
man over the top rope like it was nothing. And so, yeah, so congratulations to Kenny. He is also going into the Hall of Fame this year.
And I
And
believe he's going to be there if what I'm hearing is correct.
that would be cool. I'd like to see Kenny again. It's been a long time. One guy who's not going to be there, but is going into the Hall of Fame because he's going to be in Key West, is Star News founder Charles Rourke. This is the only picture of him I know that's available on Facebook anywhere. That's not a mugshot. But I'm just kidding. Or am I? But Charles Rourke, the owner and proprietor of Star News, is going in there. I was back in Martinsville this weekend for a funeral, and I went to see Charles on Friday night, and we shot an acceptance speech, if you can call it that. That has already been sent to the AIWF headquarters, and we will get to see it. There are two versions of it. We will get to see version A during the Hall of Fame ceremony, and if approved by our censors, we'll get to see the second version of it maybe on this program and on YouTube on down the line. But for right now, they are under strict lock and key. I mean, I could pull one up because I shot it. I could pull it up and show it to you, but I'm afraid I'd get in trouble. But certainly a very unusual acceptance speech from Charles Rourke that we shot on Friday night in front of Hollywood Cinema. So that, if nothing else, you're going to want to look forward to that at the Hall of Fame ceremony. So that's our 2024 class Hall of Fame. I think it's pretty good, but it gets tougher and tougher every year to find people to go into it.
It's because we're a business of long haulers. So
yeah.
it's
And if you're wondering,
you know,
Charles was the first
it's
person.
hard.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me real quick, Reagan.
No, go ahead.
Before we move on, I just wanted, for anybody wondering out there, Charles was the first television owner, producer, director, manager to put AIWF on real television. So and that was in Martinsville, Virginia, and then we got on in Mount Airy and other places, but Charles was the first at the old Cable 6. So that's why he's going in. I mean, he's part of the reason. I've heard Rick Diesel say it many times. He's part of the reason we're still here after all these years.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, we learned a lot from Charles about TV, showing us how to do it, and learning, kind of throwing us in the deep end and just going on and learning how to do it uh, by just actually doing it. And
Yep.
so we owe a lot to Charles.
Yep. You ever seen that movie with John Wayne in it where the little boy tells him he doesn't know how to swim? And so John Wayne just picks him up and throws him in the pond and says, "Now start pulling the water back. Start pulling." And the kids learns to swim. That's kind of the way Charles taught you TV. Because when I went to work up there, they sat me in front of the board and was like, "Okay, help Bob do the show." And then they all walked away. And I'm like, okay.
That must be why Rick did that to me with the switcher app that we use for wrestling here. Just do it and stuff. So
The two best stories I had about him when I met him, it was in Reidsville. Same day. Diesel with the giant rooster in the street interview. And that night at the show, when we were doing the live portion of the show in that building.
Yeah.
Me and Ace were given 3 rules. No cussing, no blood, stick to your time limit. We broke the first 2 in the first 5 seconds.
Yeah. It's still
and
there.
Charles was right in the corner, not 6 inches from my head when it happened.
Was he filming? He was filming that night, right?
Yes, he was.
Yeah, he was filming, and Mark and I were on commentary. Mark Children and I were on commentary, if I remember right.
Yeah.
Because that was yeah, there was a joke about does it. He was asked. Brian was out there, and Dog Boy was out there with you, Brian, I believe, and Mark asked me if he was paper trained or housebroken, and I said that I wasn't sure, but I know if you rolled up a newspaper and popped it in your hand real loud close to his head, he'd run away. But anyway, a lot of good memories from there. So congratulations to our 2024 class of Hall of Fame. Let me read some ads. We're like an hour into the show and hadn't mentioned any sponsors. Premier Auto Detailing, hands down the best car cleaning service in town. Call 336-736-2638 for more information. They service the Mount Airy, Surrey County area. And they do residential and commercial jobs. So if you got a used car lot and you need your inventory cleaned up, they can help you with that. Or if you just don't like washing your car, you just don't like it. I mean, I'm right there with you. Give them a call. The prices are reasonable, and they can help you out. Premier Auto Detailing. I think I'm getting a cold. 336-736-2638 for more information. Tees Creations Custom Apparel can help you out with any type of print jobs you need for t-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, whatever. They custom make all that stuff. They're all over the internet, Facebook, TikTok, teescreations22.com, Shopify, just everywhere. They can help you out. And they have tumblers, they are the official merch people for AIWF Mid-Atlantic. So if any boys out there want to strike a t-shirt deal, it'll be a whole lot cheaper than going to a vendor in another state. You can work with Tees Creations. They will help you out. Tees Creations, all kinds of nice stuff. Check out their TikTok, check out their Facebook, check out their website, check out their Shopify. Just a great bunch of people, and they've been with us for a long time now, and probably going to be rolling out that fall merchandise, I would imagine, soon, because the owner of Tees Creations, even though it is still August for another week, has rolled out fall decorations inside her house. As we still top in the 90s every day. I don't know. She must be crazy. But anyway, so look for the fall lineup from Tees Creations coming up soon. And of course, you can jump in with us. $10 a month, 4 reads. If we take a week off, it doesn't affect you any. We will be back. And what am I trying to say? I'm losing my train of thought. I'm so tired, y'all. I do really think I'm coming down with something. I've been going hard this weekend. $10 a month, 4 reads. If we take a week off, don't bother you none, because we'll make it up to you. So you're going to get 4 reads for $10 a month, just like you just heard. We're putting a headlock on high advertising prices. I dare you to find me any other wrestling talk show on any level, independent and or otherwise, that's got prices this cheap. $10 a month, and you can join us, and we'll even write the copy for you if we have to. So, guys, Deal with the Steel is coming up. Are you guys ready to start looking through the card?
Yes.
All right. So, we will get started. No, I don't want to share that screen. There we go. Let's do this. All right. All right. So, first up, Adrian Action Jackson against Mason Matthews. That's going to be quite the matchup. This is coming up this Saturday, August the 31st. Bell time 7:30 p.m. Doors open at 6:30. Tickets are walk up this year, all walk up. So you don't have to worry about getting them in advance. Floor is $12. Bleachers are $10. You know there's not a bad seat in the house at the Veterans Park in Mount Airy. But up first, a man who's impressed a lot of people really quickly against a wily veteran, Adrian Action Jackson against Mason Matthews. Your analysis, Brian.
Yeah, this is a very interesting matchup. I'm really looking forward to it. Mason Matthews has really start wanting to, from the way he's been talking, he's really been wanting to make a name for himself in AIWF Mid Atlantic and start getting title shots. But before that, he's going to have to go through this newcomer, Adrian Action Jackson, which he's at least he's had some notification. The change up hasn't been too close to the event, but he was scheduled to have another opponent, and but it's been switched up on him. So we'll see if that has any effect on this matchup. I still think that Mason Matthews is the favorite in this matchup as far as I'm concerned, but at the same time, I wouldn't be the least bit surprised to see Adrian Jackson come out with the win.
Go ahead, Reagan, your thoughts.
Well, Mason Matthews is coming off probably a loss that didn't make him very happy. You know, he had his submission match, and I don't think he would have given up, but Seth Clayton Burns threw in the towel for him during that match. So I'm sure he's very unhappy about that, and I'm sure he's coming in wanting to cement his, his way to a belt. So I think Action Jackson's got a lot coming at him. I have been really impressed with Action Jackson. You know, some people come in for the first time, you're like, oh, this guy, he'll, once he's here for a while. But no, Action Jackson, like, as soon as his match was over that first time, I was like, wow, this guy is talented. He is great on the mic. He is just, he's a whole package. And I'm hoping to see him really, blossom in the AIWF. That sounds weird, but but he has a really tough opponent in Mason Matthews. We've seen Mason Matthews. He just gets better and better and better, and he's one tough SOB. So I think this will be a good one. I agree with Brian. Mason Matthews is probably the odds favorite, but I wouldn't put anything past Action Jackson.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So it's going to be good. I'm looking forward to it. And remember, folks, all the matches that we discuss on this card that are coming up Saturday night, all of them are inside a steel cage. Every one of them. So we're not calling this deal with the steel, and there'll be one cage match at the end. They're all inside the steel cage, as per tradition since 1997. Now, this is interesting to me. We have not seen Sin Crowley in a while. We haven't seen actually Sin Crowley since he and Jeff Flowers won the Mid-Atlantic Tag Team Championship a couple of years ago at Fright Night, I believe. Am I right? It's been a while.
Yeah, at the last Fright Night, yes, when they won the Mid-Atlantic Tag Team titles, and then that's when not long after that, Jeff Flowers had his health concerns, and then AIWF tried to work with them and hoping that Flowers would make a recovery, but then Flowers and Crowley made the decision, saying that it's not fair to the fans to not have champions, so they relinquished the titles.
And Sin Crowley is the hometown favorite here. I mean, the Mount Airy crowd loves Sin Crowley.
Yeah.
And so Jackson saying, what was the ending of his last match? Has he been pinned yet?
He has not.
He has not been pinned.
Jackson Sane has yet to be pinned or submitted in an AIWF Mid-Atlantic ring. He has maybe lost a match or two by disqualification, but he has yet to be pinned or submitted. Now more than once he has had the help of his manager valet Jezebeth. And so with her being taken out of the equation, it'll be interesting to see how this match goes. But still, that being said, Sin Crowley probably is the favorite because like Reagan said, he's the hometown favorite. The fans love him. They're going to be solidly behind him. That and the fact that Jezebeth isn't going to be able to get involved, I think gives Sin Crowley the slight advantage. Again, this is a matchup where both of them, have a really aggressive style, and I'm really looking forward to it. And I wouldn't be a bit surprised to see either one of these guys with their hands raised.
Well,
Well,
the one thing,
Jezebeth brings pets, Brian. She could get one of those rats into that cage. I think it
yeah,
screws through the holes.
of all the people, Sin Crowley is going to be the least upset with a rat or a snake or a crazy person. I mean, Sin Crowley is, he kind of walks a little bit between the light and the dark, so there's probably not a lot that scares him. So
that's true. You're right, because that's one of Jackson Sane's biggest things is using his persona and look to intimidate his opponent, and Sin Crowley is not going to be intimidated.
Yeah. And I don't think if Nikki Valentine's with him too, she's not going to be scared of any of those animals either. She'll probably think that if somebody tried to sick a snake or a rat on her, she'd probably think they wanted her to adopt it. So I think that the Jezebel threat, you're probably right, Brian. It's going to be pretty much neutralized. Oh, mercy. So we're looking forward to see it's going to be good to see Sin again. And I hadn't seen him in a long time, and Nikki. So good to have them back. And this should be a wild match, fans. It's no telling what's going to happen in this match. We joke about the animals and weird things happening, but it could potentially really happen. I mean, we're trying to make light of it, but you never know. You could see rats and snakes and lizards and all kinds of things running around inside the cage during this one. Who knows? The reason, for those of you who are wondering, I'm not asking for Stephen Hayes' analysis, is he's not with us week to week. They can see these matches till they go up on YouTube. So, it'd kind of be unfair, I guess, for me to go, okay, Stephen, what do you think?
Probably I appreciate it.
Yeah, they both look scary.
Yeah.
He can't give us lend us his expertise here. Here's one that I think I don't know who Buddy Flowers pissed off in the AIWF office, but you talk about having the deck stacked against you. I mean, come on, man. This is like, remember the old WrestleMania video game for the WWF in the 90s, where if you went for the championship, you had to fight 3 and 4 people at the same time? I know this is not that, but it's a gauntlet match. So the way this looks to me is Buddy Flowers is going to start the match, and he's going to have to go through 4 opponents to come out of there as cruiserweight champion. Do you guys read it the same way as me? Because that's sure what it looks like.
Yeah, that's what. A gauntlet match is. You take on one opponent at a time. Which actually, if the 4 other opponents were actually in the ring at the same time, that would give him more of an advantage, because they would then be fighting amongst themselves to be trying to get the pin. So the fact that he's going to have to face these 4 opponents one after the other is going to be a very tall task for anybody. I mean, I know Buddy Flowers is a great champion, but I mean, this is just the odds are just insurmountable against him.
I am very. I just don't know what's going to happen here. That he has to go through Case and Kane, Pretty Boy Lane, Seth Clayton Burns, and these are all. I mean, Seth Clayton Burns Enterprises. Like, how does that dynamic work between the 3 of them? Like,
they just wear him down. They just wear him down, and whoever gets the pin wins. Hey, good job.
But I mean, to me, that I don't know. These are. I just want to see how this plays out, because it's very rare that you see a gauntlet match where 3/4 of the people are in the same group.
Yeah, I mean, almost a guarantee we're going to see a new cruiserweight champion. And I hate that, because Buddy Flowers is just red hot right now. And any one of these guys in a one-on-one match, I would say Buddy's the favorite, and it wouldn't be close. But in a gauntlet match, the only way I think you could make this fair is if you just said, this gauntlet match is for the cruiserweight title, and then have them all draw numbers, including Buddy. But, and so that way Buddy's chances of coming in 3rd would be there, or he may even be able to come in 5th last. But here, the way this is set up, he's going to be in the ring first, and it's just going to have to fight his way through 4 opponents in a row. And I don't see how any human can do that.
I remember WCW used to do gauntlet matches in the 90s, and with them and pretty much anybody that I've seen as far as gauntlet matches go, the maximum opponent I've ever seen is 3, which
Mhm.
Seth Clayton Burns. I mean, I guess you could say 3.5 with him, but if Seth Clayton Burns is his last opponent, if he actually defeats those 3 top tier talents, he is going to be exhausted.
Mhm.
And I mean, a 6-year-old kid after fighting those 3 men could probably beat him at that
Mhm.
point. I mean, he's just going to be so exhausted.
Yeah.
So it'll be. I mean, uh, yeah. I mean, it'll be interesting to watch. But yeah, I just don't see Buddy Flowers walking out of the cage Saturday night with that title.
I'll tell you this, Brian, and you said you've seen a maximum of 3 back over the last 10 to 15 years in WWE. If there was sometimes there would be weeks where there wasn't anything going on SmackDown. And this was especially true probably 11, 12 years ago. And they would have gauntlet matches on that show that would last like an hour and a half. And so I've seen them where they'll start with 2 and it'll end up being 7 or 8 entered in it total.
Oh wow!
So yeah, and so this
I
thing has
never
a
saw
potential to
those.
go a long time. This one does.
Mhm.
So just because I don't know, because I don't. So if it's Buddy Flowers and then Jeff Paul, and Jeff Paul pins Buddy Flowers, then Jeff Paul, it goes down to who pins the last
Yes,
person.
the match is over at that point. If
Oh.
well, no, I don't know. Now,
By True Gauntlet, by True, I don't know how the office has this set up, but by True Gauntlet, say Jeff were to beat Buddy, Jeff's now defending the title on the next guy coming in.
yes,
That's
that's
what I thought
correct. That's right.
too.
Mhm.
That's correct. Yep. So hopefully that's the way it's going to be. But Buddy has really got the deck stacked against him. I have not seen this is the only thing I can compare this to, and it's not even really the same as Flair during the bashes in '86. Remember when they lined up like
Yeah.
17 title defenses for him in 35 days?
Mhm.
And it was all the top guys. And he ended up losing near the end to Dusty Rhodes. I mean, he won it back a couple of weeks later, but still, it's just. But this is in one night, 4 guys. Goodness
Mhm.
sakes, Buddy. Good luck to you, brother.
Yeah.
Just I don't know.
I tell you what, though, if he pulls this off, he is going to be considered one of the greatest cruiserweight champions in AIWF history.
Oh yeah,
So,
without a doubt.
that's the one positive thing that can come out of this for Buddy is that if he
Mhm.
pulls it off, that's going to be legendary status for him.
I tell you what, boy, Caden Pierre would not have the lock on the greatest Mid Atlantic cruiserweight champion of all time anymore. But
Certainly not.
you'd have to put Buddy in there. Funny we bring up Caden Pierre and there's Seth Clayton and Burns involved in this.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway,
Well, then if it's true gauntlet style, what's going to happen if it does come to Kaysen, Pretty Boy Lane, and Seth Clayton Burns? Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, say Jeff Paul pins Buddy Flowers, Kaysen comes in, pins Jeff Paul, then Pretty Boy Lane comes in and I mean, this is not going to end up well for them.
It's not. If they were smart, they would simply say, let's just have a match. May the best man win. If you beat me, at least it stays within Seth Clayton Burns Enterprises. But those guys have big egos, and they're not going to want to do that.
Yeah, so, and if they overthink it and try to come up with some complex plan when they don't need one, like you're saying, Brian, just leave it to let the best man win. But if they try to come up with something fancy and something cute to get it on Seth, or or if they've all voted to put it on Kaysen or Lane or Jeff, and they get too cutesy about it, that could blow up in their face. So oh, who knows what's going to happen. But that's why you got to come out and see it, because you're not going to see it on YouTube for a while after it happens. I promise you. So, also, this is something involving Seth Clayton Burns Enterprises. We saw a curious post over the last week. Seth Clayton Burns tagging Mickey Fulp on Facebook saying, I hadn't been able to reach you. I hadn't been able to reach you. And it's kind of, he's airing his dirty laundry in public, but it's for the Mid-Atlantic television title once again for the second year in a row. No comparison, Joe Harrison against Mickey Fulp inside a steel cage. Brian?
Well, when I first saw that, I thought the same thing as you did. I was like, oh, why is he making this public? Why is he airing his dirty laundry, as you say? But I think that he was doing that on purpose so that Mickey would be like, oh, he's putting our business out online. I had better call him or he's going to embarrass me even further. I think that was his. I was like, why would I do that? And I was like, oh, so I would get the other guy to answer the phone. It's like, oh, if you're not going to answer the phone, I'm going to ask you in public on Facebook. And so I don't know if it worked or not, but I think that's what Seth Burns was doing there. But just the fact that Seth is still trying to hold on to this this alliance with Mickey Fulp, I just don't see it happening. But he's definitely going to still trying to make it work.
Yep. Hey, do you guys think you could analyze this match for another 3 to 4 minutes without me?
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much. I'll be right back. Keep talking.
Okay. But yeah, because this was the thing, you know, Mickey did not want this match. He considered this, you know, at the last deal with the Steel, he considered this over and done with. He thought I defeated Joe Harrison, and it's done, and I'll need to move on. But then Seth Burns messed things up and ended up making a rematch here at Deal with the Steel.
You know, Mickey is very unhappy with Seth Burns right now. Like, I don't think Mickey likes anybody right now, including Seth Burns. And I think, you know, we've seen a lot of issues popping up between them before he even started talking junk about Mickey's wife, Carson. And whether you like Mickey or not, I mean, he's very protective of as anybody would be of their girlfriend or wife, especially their wife. And you don't talk crap about somebody's wife when they've only been married less than a month. Like, you don't, like, maybe after 25 years you can point out something annoying about the wife, but not after
the new ain't wore off yet. You don't go there.
No. And so you know, Seth has this problem sometimes of sticking his foot in his mouth. Seth does not care, or he has not learned the things he can and can't say. You know, so you know, I don't know if that's good or bad when it comes to Seth. At least he's honest with you, or so he thinks. But you know, I'm really interested to see how this works out. And also, we're in the cage, so Seth is neutralized a little bit, but also Seth will have been in that match, the gauntlet match. Mickey has this match, and then he also now has to worry about Nikita Koloff. So Seth might have one of the worst nights of his life or one of the best nights of his life. So, and then the poor crowd's going to have to spend a lot of time with Seth Clayton Burns.
Yes, they are. He has a lot of irons in this fire on Saturday night. And I think even as good of a wrestling mind as Seth Clayton Burns has, I think he's gotten in a little bit over his head on this one. And so I think it's going to cost him this Saturday, at least at some point. He may come out with with a win, maybe two, but there's no way he's going to be victorious in all three of these matchups. It's just impossible.
I mean, it would be probably a statistical anomaly,
right?
That he would be able to pull out three wins in one. I mean, maybe. I mean, we've seen stranger things happen. Deal with the Steel is a different type of show. It's a different type of matches. I don't has Seth Clayton Burns a manager last year at Deal with the Steel? Did he manage anybody? Like, has he been around to deal with AIWF Deal with the Steel? I just can't remember. That might be something Matt remember. I don't think he was. So,
he has, because he was, if not managing, he was at least affiliated with the Fighters Club.
Yeah, that's true. I just don't remember him having like a big stake in a Deal with the Steel like he does this year.
Well, the thing is, he has now, with the Fighters Club leaving, he was trying to fill that void of the next big faction, and he succeeded, at least for a while, but he was able to gather the talent, but now his issue is keeping that talent happy and keeping them together, and we're all seeing it all coming apart at the seams.
Well, I mean, yeah, you say the Fighters Club, but I would say even if he was the manager of the Fighters Club, Jack was the leader of that faction, and so whether or not Seth Clayton Burns was a part of that, I would say his say was second to Jack.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Like I said, that's why I said that he was just associated with them. Yeah, he definitely wasn't the leader. What I'm saying is that once the Fighters Club left and JAC was gone, Seth was trying to fill that void of being the next big faction. He knew that with the Fighters Club being gone, that there was that opportunity to gather up a new faction and have them be the new big men on campus.
I just think he's bitten off more than he can chew.
Oh, I think so too.
Well, we will find out.
Speaking of JAC, I just wanted to say it just does my heart good to see those videos that he's sharing online of him wrestling in Japan, kicking ass. I mean, it just makes me feel so good to see him over there living his dream, and I'm just so proud of him.
Yep, it's really cool. So we'll see. Can Joe Harrison finally get it done against Mickey Folk? The television title is on the line this Saturday night. I'm back, by the way. Thanks for covering for me. Up next, here's a very interesting one. PPW, Pure Pro Wrestling Heavyweight Champion Aubrey Wright is coming to Deal with the Steel to challenge Kevin Phoenix, our own international traveler, for the AIWF World Television Championship. And I don't know that Kevin and Aubrey have ever met in the ring before. Do you guys know?
Not to my knowledge. I mean, he may have in the past, but as far as I know, this will be their first matchup.
Ought to be very interesting. You know, the Pure Pro is a pretty old promotion too. They started, I think, in the early 2000s. And let me tell you something. I've seen Aubrey Wright. I've seen him in action on YouTube. He's no slouch. He wouldn't be Pure Pro Heavyweight Champion if he was. Kevin Phoenix better be ready, because this is going to be a tough match, I think.
Oh yeah, definitely. You know, Kevin is just coming back from both being on UFC Power Slap and then went on his European tour, and so both of those things have really sharpened his skills, but they've also, I'm sure, put a lot of wear and tear on his body. And so if Aubrey Wright is able to take advantage of that, then we may have a new AIWF World Television Champion.
Yep, I cannot wait for this one. I'm really looking forward to this. Ought to be very good. Here's another one that I'm looking forward to. I think we all are. We were talking about it earlier. Mecha Mercenary Corey Etzel defend the Mid-Atlantic Tag Team Championship against Metallico and JT Moss of THC.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this too. I know that Corey and Mecha Mercenary want to hold on to those titles anyway, but especially since at the last event they were awarded their brand new AIWF Mid Atlantic titles, and so they're definitely not going to want to lose those as on the very first title defense.
Yep, absolutely not. So it'll be inside a steel cage. Go ahead, Stephen. Were you about to say something?
I think I covered everything I had to say about this one earlier. So yeah.
Yeah, I think, it's going to be a little bit different. The last THC that they encountered was Metallica and Buddy Flowers. And now, JT Moss has never been afraid to step toe to toe with them. JT Moss isn't a small fella. He's a very talented, big wrestler. And I don't know really if Corey and Mecca, I'm trying to think of who they have wrestled and defended. I mean, they're usually the big ones. You know what I'm saying? They're usually the ones that are the big, powerful ones, and the little guys always having to like wear them out or take them out at the knee or things like this. And yes, even though Metallica is cruiserweight size, like JT Moss is not. So this, I mean, how do you go into a match when you have to prepare not only for a cruiserweight but also a heavyweight at the same time?
Yeah, I was just going to say that too, about how it's one thing when you go up against an opponent or even a tag team where it's two big guys. So you have a strategy of going against big guys. But when you have a mix of the two, when you have a quick cruiserweight who could fly like Metallico, and then you have the big guy, the big strong guy, JT Moss, that mix of styles can really throw you off. And so this is another one. That's what's so great about this deal with the steel. Sometimes when you look at it, you're like, you look at some matches and you're like, well, I think this guy's going to win. He might lose, but like every single one of these matches, I think are a 50-50 toss up. Except maybe Buddy Flowers, but even then, I don't know who's going to end up walking out with the title. So
Exactly.
yeah, every one of these matches are really good matchups that I have no idea who's going to come out the winners.
That's right. That's why if you folks need to be there, it's this coming Saturday, August 31st, 7:30 p.m. at Veterans Park in Mount Airy. Set your Google Maps to 691 West Lebanon Street in Mount Airy, and it'll get you there. And then this one is certainly very interesting. Another PPW star, the Mountain, Ivan Ali, coming to challenge Justin Flash for the AIWF Mid-Atlantic Heavyweight Championship. At first, I was like, oh, no, this guy's coming at Justin Flash sight unseen. But then I remember Justin Flash wrestles for Pure Pro Wrestling on a regular basis still to this day. So we don't know if there's history between these two or not.
Even if there's not history, he's been around to see. This isn't some new person that he's never seen before.
Right, right. Go ahead. I was just agreeing with you.
Oh,
but it's like I've said before. Justin Flash, very talented, very quick, has the natural ability, and he is definitely a heavyweight. But very few promotions have a super heavyweight division. So when you're the heavyweight champion, you also have to go up against the super heavyweights, and so far he has been able to defeat every super heavyweight that's been put in front of him. And, some of them I was like, I don't know if he's going to be able to do this one, and he pulled it out.
Mm-hmm.
And so he surprised me before, and so if he wins this one, then he's going to shock the world again.
Absolutely. So, oh man, and it keeps getting better. And then in the big main event, Special Enforcers, the Russian Nightmare Nikita Koloff as Ty Tyson and Lodi team up to take on Lewis Moore and the Barbarian. Oh, Katie bar the door on this one. It's going to be wild.
It is going to be wild. And one of the reasons we had to bring in Nikita Koloff to be a special enforcer was because we knew just how crazy this match was going to be. So, we had to have somebody who could maintain some kind of order in this matchup. So, and if anybody can do it, it'll be the Russian Nightmare Nikita Koloff.
Absolutely. Oh, all right. So there you have it. That's our lineup for Deal with the Steel coming up this weekend, Saturday night in Mount Airy. You do not want to miss it. Again, tickets $12 for the floor, $10 for bleachers. Showtime is at 7:30. Oh man, you don't want to miss this. It is going to be absolutely spectacular. Oh boy. Okay, so I am really looking forward to Deal with the Steel. It's going to be a lot of fun this year. It is every year, but it's going to be one of the best ones yet so far. So let me do some ads real quick, and then we'll get into the last little bit of things. And of course, we're going to start off with our friends at Branch Management. It's that time of year. You need grass cut, hedges clipped, any type of lawn work. If you still haven't cleaned out those gutters, they really don't have potted plants for sale, but I understand they still got plenty of ferns available. But yeah, any type of landscaping service, pressure washing, general contracting, gutter cleaning, they got it all, and even free estimates. 336-648-2487. That's 336-648-2487 for Branch Management. They'll cut you a deal. They can beat just about any landscaping estimate in town, and they give free estimates. So they'll come out and take a look at your situation and negotiate with you on how much it's going to cost to clean it all up. That's Branch Management, our first sponsor. We appreciate them. They've been with us since I'd say probably after about 6 months doing the show, they came on board, and we've been with us ever since. 336-648-2487. That's Branch Management. Our most delicious sponsor is T's Treats. They're a locally owned food truck based in Mount Airy. You know them. You see them at the Mid-Atlantic shows. Great pizza, delicious dogs, decadent desserts. They got huge corn dogs these days. Oh, man. And they're all over the place. You can reach out to them. 336-755-8204. Where you can find them. I'm understanding that the frozen bananas may be going the way of the dinosaur. So if they've still got frozen bananas, you better get them now, because I think they're going to move away from those. But anyway.
I think he said they might have them at the fair.
Yeah.
But that would be the only time. No more on the truck, I think. You're right.
Yeah, because they can't keep the cooler cold while they're taking the truck up and down the road. Because, you can't just fill a generator up with gas and put it inside the trailer and fire it up with smoke and exhaust and all that kind of stuff and just take off down the road with it at 80 miles an hour. So, so it does present a problem. But anyway, yeah, so they'll be at the Surrey County Fair, the frozen bananas were, but they got way more stuff than that. Look at all these freaking desserts and stuff. Oh, man, just absolutely spectacular snacks. The best concessions in wrestling. You heard me. Prove me wrong. Best concessions in wrestling, and they'll be at Deal with the Steel for all your hunger needs. So make sure you come hungry. Our newest sponsor is Secondhand Heroes and Home for Wayward Villains. They are a gaming store that also features collectible toys, retro gaming consoles, and games, as well as free-to-play arcade cabinets and comic books featuring Magic the Gathering, casual play, as well as tournaments. Yeah, okay. Located at 18184 Leesville Road in Evington, Virginia. That's right outside Lynchburg. Secondhand Heroes is your one-stop shop for you to get your nerd on. Open 7 days a week at 11 a.m. They don't close until the dice stop rolling. They buy, sell, trade, barter, and haggle, specializing in collectibles of all types, both vintage and modern. They have table space available for your Magic the Gathering tournaments or any other type of gaming tournaments, D&D, any of that kind of stuff. You can just come hang out and play. If you want to, call them up and get a spot, or you can, participate in one of their tournaments or set up your own. They also feature console games like old Nintendo and Sega classics, as well as 25 arcade cabinets with hundreds of your old school favorites, all set to free play. Our Monday D&D group has been running well over a year, and they welcome newcomers, both experienced and inexperienced. They also host game competitions for games like Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, Mario Kart, and Super Smash Brothers, just to name a few. I saw a funny meme about now she's going to find out why they call us Super Smash Brothers this week. It made me think of Secondhand Heroes. Something for the gamer and collector, and us all make arrangements for your game night at 434-317-0121. Let me give you that number again so you can call them to set up a game night, or if you just want more information, 434-317-0121. Or you can shoot them an email with any questions at secondhandheroesva@gmail.com. Now, that second is not spelled out. So it's 2ND, the abbreviation, 2ND handheroesva@gmail.com. Inventory changes daily, so make sure you come in there often to see what they got going on. Okay. Because, they are a barter and trade type place. So you never know from one day to the next what you might see in Secondhand Heroes. And those free to play arcade classics, they had some of those at Hollywood Cinema when I was there over the past weekend. And they will remind you real quick how bad you are at video games. Because I always fancied myself as a decent Centipede player until this past weekend, and I found out different. So, yeah. So anyway, Secondhand Heroes, thank you so much. One last thing, and I know we've been on a while, but I wanted to touch on this because we were all talking about a social media post we had seen from somebody before we went on the air, and it just harkened me back to things I'd heard, stories I've heard from other people in the past. I always say I'm a homesteader. There's only maybe a couple of promoters out there that I'd even work for, and I mostly stay around the Mid-Atlantic. It's a well-known fact. If it doesn't happen in here or at WWE, I probably am not familiar with it. But there's a reason for that, because there are promoters out there who mistreat talent and have for years, and treat them like shit, and think because they have a lot of money, they can just push people around the way they want to. And I can assure you, if you're new in this business, or if you're a 10 or 20-year veteran, if you come to that Mid-Atlantic, you don't have to put up with that bullshit. People are going to treat you how you treat them. You're not going to have to worry about anybody taking a shit in your bag or any of that kind of stuff. But that kind of stuff happens. It's happened in the past. It's just incredible. I just wonder where do people get off treating people as if they're less than, especially in this business. You're an independent promoter. You're not, and you might be, brown nosing Tony Khan or people in WWE to try to position yourself in a better place or whatever, but it still doesn't give you the right just to treat people like dirt.
And and that's the thing too, is like these relationships you have as an indie with like a larger, like an AEW or TNA or whatever, those are not symbiotic relationships.
No,
they're not. They are using you to an end, and when they're done with you, they're just going to quit answering your phone call. You're nobody special. And hey, I'm not knocking anything. I'm not knocking like getting people on shows or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, in the grand scheme of things, that is not a symbiotic relationship. It is not a give or take. It is they are taking. And you have, and then like, I also don't care how big you are. You don't need to treat your talent like crap, because if you don't have the talent, you're not going to have shows, because you might not always have those people working on shows, but those are the people driving your ring around. They're the ones doing your security. They're the ones putting your ring up. They're the ones taking your ring down. Like, those are the people that you should take care of the most. No matter who you have on your show that's a big name, the people you need to take care of are the people that put all the grunt work into your organization.
Yeah, and don't ever let it, and for the younger people, don't ever let any promoter convince you that if you hang around with them and do what they say and what they want, they can get you a shot at the big time easier than you could get it on your own. Because Javon Evans is proof that if you're good enough, the right eyeballs will see you, and you work enough places, the right eyeballs will see you. So,
And that's the thing too, is like, I understand loyalty in this business. I do understand that. And I think to a certain extent, that's fine. But I see loyalty as, you work on my show this weekend, I take care of you. Please come back, have fun at next weekend at that show.
mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And treating people well, so they want to be loyal to you. So they're like, oh, Deal with the Steel's coming up. I want to work on this Deal with the Steel show, but the next weekend I'm going to work here in Tennessee. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, and coming back. Don't take, I don't know. It just bothers me when people use indie guys to do all their work, but then treat them like crap. Like, I just don't like that. And you've seen that. We've seen that for years and years and years. It's not just a new problem, and you know, you just, I don't know.
It reminds me.
That's my piece, and I'm just trying to think of how to wrap that up, and I think that's a good place to stop. Yeah.
It's like the modern version of, remember the Hardy Boys on their DVD talking about, and we had heard this from other people too, about getting booked on one of the Stallion shows and showing up there and him telling them to buy a ticket. I don't know if I've got a spot on. You remember the Italian Stallion? Remember hearing those stories back in the 90s? How he would, he would tell, you'd get booked on his show and you show up and he would tell you to buy a ticket because he didn't know if he had a spot for you. And you'd pay the ticket price. And Brian, you might have to correct me on the details, but it was some kind of scam like that where he made you buy.
Yeah. Well, I know that Rick Diesel and Sebastian Kane went to just go watch an Italian Stallion show, bought a ticket, and he was short guys. He didn't have enough wrestlers, had them wrestle on the show. Not only didn't pay them, but didn't give their money back for their tickets. So they had to pay to wrestle. They thought they were doing the guy a favor, which they were. They weren't planning on wrestling that night. They just wanted to hang out and watch some wrestling. And then he's short wrestlers, and I wonder why. If he treats them like that.
Kids Arnie as hell, man. Kids Arnie as hell.
Well, the other thing too is, I don't think if you're paying somebody to train you, you should have to pay $10 to see their show, because you're already paying them $150 a week or a month or every 2 weeks or whatever. Don't just drain them for every little cent they have.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it's aggravating to me. What I see is like, what the young guys are going through now is like, it's even more predatory than it was 30 years ago.
Because
of the internet. I mean, there are people who are out there. I see the most random people I've never heard of doing seminars. How to get you ready to perform on TV. Like, shit, where have you been on TV? Right. Like,
or pay me $20 to tell me how to run. Let me tell you how to run your social media.
Oh yeah, that was bad.
Yeah.
And it's just like, and yeah. Let me now. If Shawn Michaels hosted a seminar, that would be one thing. But Joe Blow, that I've worked on in a couple of indie shows here in North Carolina and 3 down in South Carolina, like, what qualifies him to give you? You're at the same level is what I'm getting at, young guys. Just because he's 45, and never been anywhere does not make him more qualified than you.
I would say less qualified. But
probably.
But I just said this to Brian. I just saw an advertisement for Ricky Morton. Excuse me. I was drinking Fanta. And he was charging $35 in advance, $40 at the door for a seminar. And I'm
Mhm.
like, he's a damn legend. I
And
mean,
he's cheaper than most of these no-name
yes,
guys.
that's what I was telling Brian.
Yeah.
I was like, he's charging $35 when I've seen some dumbass who's worked on like not even, I mean, just indies
Mhm.
around charging 40.
Yeah.
Like, and it just, and you're getting, Ricky Martin is still relevant today.
Mhm.
He
Yeah.
is still relevant today. He's also somebody, I have not had a lot of interactions with Ricky, personally, but he seems like somebody who loves this business,
Mhm.
like loves this business, and he has knowledge that you should, if you can, get from him. He's been everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, and just but yeah, don't like. I don't know.
Stephen Hayes, you know him better than any of us here, but Ricky strikes me as the type of guy. If you show up for one of his seminars and he is teaching you how to run the ropes and you ain't got what it takes, he's going to tell you then because he don't want you to piss away any more of
Yeah.
your money.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, no, Ricky is as straight a shooter as you're ever going to find. If it's good, it's good. If it's the shits, he's going to let you know it's the shits. He'll also be the first one to tell you how to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And, if person is coachable and willing to listen, you can take anything that man says and do something with a career through indies, maybe further.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the School of Morton, Ricky got his school going, and who else would you really want to learn from of someone who's been there, done that?
Mm-hmm. At
Yeah,
his
exactly.
level, yeah. And I mean, let's face it, the Rock and Roll managed to survive. I mean, they were on top. If you look at their time on top, tippy top of the
Mhm.
sport, 84 through 87, right? About
Yeah.
3 years. But they had managed, they moved up, they split up, they got back together, if it hadn't have been for them, Smoky Mountain would not have lasted 6 months.
Mm-mm.
And they were able to squeeze 4 or 5 years out of Smoky Mountain.
Yeah, and they
Mhm.
And
they
that was
still were on nitros. I mean, maybe they weren't, going over on nitro, but they still had them come on, work the younger guys.
You had them on a WWF pay-per-view
yes.
against
Yeah.
the Heavenly Bodies.
Yes.
Yes, I
You
mean,
took a
so-
Smoky Mountain match and put it on.
WWE in 93. Yeah.
I mean, so it is. He's somebody. I mean, and being a mark, like he was somebody he's really fun to watch wrestling. He was fun to watch when he was at Deal with the Steel 2 years ago.
Mm.
He's fun to watch in the NWA with Kerry when they were using him and he was doing the heel work. Like there's just something fun about heel Ricky Morton.
Mhm.
And he was all they were in TNA. Ricky was in TNA. He was in the
Mhm.
suit. Can't remember what
He
they
was the
called him.
absolute funniest human being walking the face of the planet.
Mhm.
And so I just feel like there are some people you should spend your money on, and then there's some people who are just trying to make a dime off of you. Now, is Ricky trying to make money? Yes. Am I
Yes.
saying he's not doing it to get money in his pocket? Yes, exactly. But at least he has a resume to back it up.
Right. Yeah, you're
He's
actually
got the
doing
resume. Oh, sorry, Brian, didn't mean to step up, but he's got the
No,
resume,
that's fine,
and
but yeah,
you
we're
know
both
what
saying
Ricky Morton? I'm sorry. You know what Ricky Morton's job's been since he was 16 years old?
Wrestling.
Professional wrestler.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And he don't live high on the hog. He's not a
Nope.
rich man.
Mhm.
This is how he makes his living. So, when you go to a Ricky Morton seminar, you're helping keep the lights on,
Yep.
yeah, I mean, the guy's not a millionaire by any stretch of the imagination, but he's done wrestling his whole life, and kudos to him for it. To me, if you ain't learning from him or the the Jacob Pritchard's wrestling school
Yeah.
in Knoxville, you're wasting your fucking time. I'm just
Yep.
sorry. I mean, all the other schools around are fine to accentuate that education, but you need to go to somebody who's been on top, and Ricky Morton has been on top. Kane has been on top. Tom
Well, I mean,
Pritchard has been
I
on
was
top.
going to say Tom Pritchard. Yes, I mean
No.
that's where Clara got the majority. Like her beginning wrestling training was with Tom, and she's very proud of that
Yeah.
fact. and that's
I
something
would
to be
throw
proud of.
Mm-hmm.
I would throw Al Snow and OVW in there.
Yes,
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
oh god, yes. But
You
then,
know,
and
the Samoans Academy down in Florida or Black Pearl, any of that family, their schools,
Yeah,
I would throw those in there 100%.
because
yeah,
they're going to give you the foundation that they can build on when you make it to WWE.
Mhm.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because WWE is still going to put you, well, unless you're Jade Cargill, going to put you through something, you know? And I don't know. This business, it's based on like being, I mean, really, I mean, it started in the carnivals to rip people, you know, not to rip it, but you know what I'm saying? But it's evolved from that. It's not just a business now to get people's money. And a lot of times you'll see places that just want to take young kids' money and do
Mhm.
nothing for them.
When it,
Mhm.
hey, Stephen Hayes, we're going to have to one of these days go back to the very beginning, the original Dutch Mantel, and explain to how the fans he used to go into towns and hustle money in the bars. That's a
Yeah.
brilliant story. Stephen Hayes
Uh,
sent me a link this week, and fans, I cannot encourage you, Brian and Reagan, I encourage you to do this too when you got a couple of hours to spare. But with children, I know that's impossible. But with enough NyQuil, you can increase the odds to make this happen. There's a podcast called Stories with Briscoe and Bradshaw. It's got Jerry Briscoe and John Bradshaw Layfield on it, and they interview all kinds of legendary people in wrestling. And this latest episode, I think, is Bo James, who is the resident expert on East Tennessee wrestling.
Yep.
And I'm going to tell you that was like taking in a college lecture. I was listening to it on the way up to Martinsville Thursday, just like I told you I would, Steve.
Yeah.
And even Jinky is sitting there in the car with me, and she was like, holy shit, man, they backstabbed each other a lot. I mean,
Oh yeah.
East Tennessee wrestling, I have never in my life heard stories like that. It was incredible. And see, I never knew the other side of the
Plan B.
Bob Rubin Plan B and all that other stuff. You know, I had no idea. You know, and Bob Roop, man, he poisoned 2 territories in a row. You know, Roy Shire out in San Francisco, and then came and did it to Ron Fuller in Knoxville and killed that territory. You know, just incredible stuff. You know,
I may have had a difference or two philosophically with Bo years back, but I will 100% defer if you want to know anything about Tennessee wrestling, East Tennessee wrestling. Bo's the guy. Always has been, always will be. You know,
Yeah.
so that's why I sent it to you, especially when we were talking about the other week about Goulas and all that. I was like, you know, as much as I'd love to cover it, Bo's got it covered. So why not direct the traffic to where the guy with the folders and the files to back up the info is right there.
Yeah. And getting back to it for you young guys, don't go anywhere. Don't hang around a school or people in the wrestling business that make you feel less than. Because if people are trying to put you down and bully you and make you feel like less than, it's because they're covering up something. You know, because they don't want you to see something, some kind of weakness they have or whatever. So don't hang around and let them treat you like shit. Just move on. This is North Carolina. There are wrestling promotions in just about every small town in the entire state. If they're not enough here for you, go on over to Tennessee and check out the Tri-Cities area. There's probably 20 amongst Kingsport, Elizabethton, and Bristol. So,
At least 6 at the moment.
How many?
At least 6 at the moment.
At least 6 at the moment, right? So there are places for you to go wrestle, you know. So don't hang around and get abused and get your ego, trampled upon to where you just give up hope and quit the business. If you enjoy this, even if you don't have any hope of going to WWE or AEW one day, that's okay. As long as you're having fun and you're not spending a fortune, you know, spending more than you can afford to go to the shows, keep doing it. It's a wonderful hobby. I've been doing it for pushing 30 years now. and
Mhm.
it's never been my full-time job, and it never will be.
Yeah,
But
and Matt, I wanted to talk to you about. I wanted to mention too about, you were saying if you're going to go to a school, go to one of those. Uh, there are other options besides going to a school. You can go. You can find yourself a promotion. Help them set up the ring early. You go talk to somebody. A lot of times, if you will help them set up the ring early, and you get there early enough and they get the ring up, you can find somebody who will train you to be a wrestler. Now you won't have the name backing. You won't be able to put on your resume that you were trained by Bruce Pritchard, but at the same time, because that's the way me, Brad, Daniel, and Ben, that's what we did. We found a promoter. Uh, we found Dean Puckett, and uh, we had, we were the ring crew, and we set the ring up, and they would train us, and it wasn't free, but it didn't cost we didn't have to pay a fortune either. So there are other avenues besides the big wrestling schools if you can't afford that. So
yeah,
there's different options that you can do. But like you said, if you're going to pay the big bucks to a wrestling school, make sure it has. I mean, at least pay for the name, where you can have that on your resume.
hmm
I was trained by Ricky Morton. I was trained by Bruce Pritchard. I was
hmm
trained, by the Samoans. You want to be, if you're going to pay for it, then have something to show for it.
yeah. Brian brings up a good point too, because if you're not athletically inclined, in other words, you didn't play any sports in high school or college, or even as a little kid, and uh, how can I put this nicely? Not saying that you can't wrestle, but if you don't have some type of athletic background, even going back to t-ball, some sort of sport when you were a little kid, you can be taught to wrestle. I'm sure. Maybe some of you. I don't know. I don't want to
It's
encourage
hard.
people with that are not don't have some sort of athletic knowledge to get into
Well,
wrestling, because
well, I'll
I
just
see
tell you,
that.
you'll know real quick once you step in the ring once or twice if you can do it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just, and Brian brings up a good point. If you were not a letterman in high school in something or college, probably be best to do like Brian did and find a promotion that'll teach you to run the ropes and teach you the basics and all that kind of stuff before you go out to Knoxville and shell out $1,500 or whatever it is to get into the Jacobs Pritchard Wrestling School. Because I'm sure their entry fee is not cheap. you know
Mhm.
um you don't want to just I want to say sometimes it's good to jump in the deep end, like with certain things like Reagan operating the switching software, but with wrestling, I don't know. If you got a good college athletic background, I think you'd be fine going to one of those bigger schools right off the bat. But if not, maybe follow Brian's advice and choose a smaller promotion.
Stick your toe in the water before you jump in.
Exactly,
Yes.
because I'll tell you right now, uh, among our friend group who went and approached and about training, we weren't the only ones who did it. We were just the only ones who made it. There were a couple of other guys that went with us to talk to them that didn't make it through the training process.
Mm-hmm.
And Brad was one that they told us afterwards. They were talking. They were like, that little guy right there, he's not going to make it. He did. He proved them wrong, and he did make it. But yeah, and like the biggest among us, he didn't.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, just being a big guy by itself doesn't automatically guarantee that you're going to be a big
No,
wrestling star.
no.
Absolutely not. If you're, I'm sorry, and from one fat slob to another, my friends, if you're a fat slob and you start running those ropes after about, I don't know, the second or third time hitting them and coming off, you're gonna know that you're in the deep end. So just err with caution. Just because you're big does not mean you can wrestle.
Yeah. No, you're
It
in the
is.
ocean and there are sharks in those waters.
Yeah, it is. It is the most physical thing you will ever do. I can play full court basketball, for a couple of hours at a time, no problem. But you get in a ring, and I mean, you can get blown up in like 2 minutes.
I can
It,
tell you
it
what,
doesn't take much.
Quickly.
when I was a
Mhm.
kid, I played football, and like I've been hit hard with pads on, where you get popped and you go down and like it knocks the wind out of your body. But nothing sucked like Johnny Reb dropping an elbow off the second rope on me. And I rolled under the bottom rope that day, and I was like, my happy ass belongs behind the microphone.
I
Let
was
Corey Etzel chop you one time, Matt.
Nope, ain't no need to. I might have tried that 25 years ago just to say I did it, but not now.
I will tell a tale out of school here because he got me one night. He laid him on to me. I told him, it was like, brother, quit. I'm gonna lose my lunch. And he looked at me and said, do it on camera, and hit me harder.
Wow.
I
So
just,
you puked on him and then gave him another chop.
No, I didn't puke on him. Thank God Almighty, but I was close.
But Corey
I was
Etzel, like
close.
he doesn't have human hands. He has
No,
like
it's a bear
he has
paw.
bear paws, like like up in Gatlinburg, like he can open that trash
Mhm.
can lock or not.
well, it's just, I mean, it's hard. It is hard. I'll never forget those. I was in college at the time when Rick Diesel thought I would not make it, and taking those 4 point bumps. I was like, that first one, I was like, I can't do this. I'm like, I got to prove all those assholes wrong. And they did another one. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to take another one. Because at that point, I was nuts. But I tell you, that next day, I could not get out of bed. I could not walk. And I came back. But it's hard on you. I mean, and
Mhm.
that's hard on my body. I'm sure that's why I have brain damage and back damage and have missing teeth and in my
I
back.
get you all the respect in the world, Reagan, because you came back.
Well, I wanted to prove
That's
Rick
the
Diesel
win.
wrong. I wanted to
That's
prove
the
Rick-
win.
Well, in the old days, like Gene Anderson days, if you came down to Crockett's office and said you wanted to be a wrestler, they would just beat your ass for the first day to see if you came back, and the second day, if you came back, they'd beat your ass again all day, and then run you up the steps, back down the steps, blow you up, and if you kept coming back, eventually they would start showing you stuff. They're like, because we can't get. He's too tough or too stupid to quit. So
Typically number two.
Yeah, it's probably
so
number two that I was too stupid to not come
so
back.
maybe we can draw some money with this guy. I mean,
Yeah.
Scott Hall told the story when him and Danny Spivey showed up for the first time at Crockett Promotions. And they said they wanted to try it. Gene was like, okay, well, come back here. Let me show you a couple of things. And he said that Gene Anderson proceeded to scoop slam him and Danny Spivey in that back room where they did local promos on the concrete over and over and over. And when they went to the bathroom before they left, they were pissing blood. So that gives you an
brought
idea.
up his name. Yeah, you brought up his name a minute ago, Matt. If you haven't seen the video, go on YouTube and look up Bob Root Florida Championship Wrestling training session.
Yes, that was on an episode of Legends of Wrestling on the WWE Network. Yeah, that's how I make my living. Yeah, Bob Roop stretches that boy and beats the piss out of him.
It was a grown ass man crying
This is off the
for
subject.
his life.
Off the subject, but of stretching. We were just watching a Nitro today, and Kevin Sullivan is I guess November 1996. Well, he had a guy in there. They didn't give his name or anything.
96, are you sure?
Yeah.
You sure that was after the NWO came?
Yes.
Okay.
Kevin Sullivan. This is in the midst of his and Chris Benoit's woman angle.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So he has some guy in there, and he is, how he did the double stomp as his finisher?
Yeah.
He didn't pull it at all. And first time he threw the guy out, and the guy fumbled it, and he pulled him out worked him over. He stretched him pretty hard and threw him out again. And Bobby Heenan or who was it?
Larry Zbyszko.
Larry Zbyszko goes, "What's this guy's name?" And Tony Schiavone goes, "I don't know. They didn't tell me." And at this point, it doesn't really matter. Because
getting your ass whooped with a Bostonian accent soundtrack would just be the worst.
He let I don't know what that guy did.
Yeah.
He didn't get in anything, and he beat him and he didn't get his coat off before he started the beating.
Wow.
So yeah, so at least the business.
Say thank you, get your envelope, and go home.
But yeah, it was so funny. It's like, what's this guy's name? He didn't tell me, and at this point, it doesn't matter. Yeah, it's funny to rewatch these Nitros because I'm like, I can't believe these people still lasted into NWO. There was somebody else I was watching. I was like, I didn't remember that they were even still around with NWO.
Was it Craig Pittman?
It was Craig Pittman.
No,
Thank
no,
you. It was Craig Pittman. I was like, he made it into when the NWO started. But yeah,
When you have so many on the roster, and yeah, go ahead, Matt.
He came and worked for us in '98. He made a couple of appearances for us in '98, so he must have. I remember him there in '96, but that's it.
Brian's probably
I was about to say when you have so many on contract and you forget they're there, you get to stick around.
Is this are we back to AEW now?
Same thing.
I don't know. I just love this business. And I know I'm just sitting in my living room in Forsyth County. I'm not going to dox my city, and that I have a shoot job and it's pretty normal. But I just love this business. And I know maybe some people think my opinion is stupid but I don't want to see anybody in this business be taken advantage of. I don't want to see anybody in this business treated poorly. I don't want to everybody. I don't know. I just want everybody to just make wrestling great so everybody can have what they want. Does that make sense?
No, because this is athletics. It's not for everybody. America's for everybody, not sports. But if you're good at what you do, you should not let any promoter treat you like shit. And you should have the opportunity to train and try it out. This may not be for you. Guess what? A bunch of little kids out there right now have dreams of being in the NFL one day, and most of them ain't going to make it. No. But you know what? If they have a good time playing football in Pee-wee leagues and in high school and maybe in college,
you encourage
if they can make it that far, hell yeah, because that'll teach you a lot of good life lessons. Wrestling's the same way. You might not make it to the WWE, but, just fucking.
I had a hell of a time doing it, though.
Exactly.
Be realistic with your expectations and go do your thing.
Yeah. And because, going back to like Jack, like he did exactly every single thing he should do. And now he's in Japan. I'm going to say the same thing about the Bravados. They did everything they were supposed to do. They went to Japan.
Andre Chase did. Andre Chase did.
I
got heat with the other one.
Well, they were still the Bravados in Japan and Ring of Honor. But I'm just saying, I don't know. I think this is one of those businesses where if you're just not part of it, it's hard for people to understand it too. And I'm getting off subject. I'm sorry. I'm tired.
Andre Chase has once again got gold in NXT, and they're going to have a big match. He and Rich Holland are going to defend those titles next Sunday night, probably about the time we're going to be on the air at NXT's next event. I can't remember what it's called. It's going to be on Peacock. It's one of those in a big building. So good luck to them, Andre Chase. You guys, hopefully if we do a preview show at Deal with the Steel on Facebook, and I hope we do. I had so much fun the last time we did that. I'll have a surprise, but anyway.
Well, just talk to me and we can do it. I'll say we'll do it. I'm the one in charge of all that nonsense, so we'll do it. Just remind me to get it.
How to stream live to Facebook?
Yeah, we did it last time. Well, I did it with my phone. Remember?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and
I'd love to do that. Do that.
Yeah, we definitely should.
That was fun. I would like to. Yeah, well, just remind me, and we can get everybody together.
it makes me think that, I love doing that kind of stuff because it makes me think because I love the late night TV show formats like Johnny Carson, Conan O'Brien, modern day Jimmy Kimmel, Jimmy Fallon. I love those type of, stand in front of the audience and just kind of wing it, even though I know all their stuff's pre-written, but it looks like they're just winging it, right? And and we actually do wing it, and we come up with some comedy gold. And it's like, I like to imagine myself like, maybe given the right circumstances, I could have made it in Hollywood. Maybe, just maybe, ego driven. I know truthfully. No. I don't have, I ain't got enough. I don't have a thimble's worth of talent as those people do.
No, but you got the face for radio.
That's right.
Steve,
and a voice for newspaper. and a voice for newspaper.
So, there you go.
But print is dead, so I guess a voice for websites.
There we go.
Voice for printed blog. Fuck it, I don't know. Well, anyway, join us. Deal with the Steel this Saturday night. Hey, look, you might be saying, but Matt, I can't come to Deal with the Steel because the battle in Berlin is going to be on the same day. It is at 1 p.m. in the East, so you can watch the WWE show and still make it to Mount Airy in plenty of time for Deal with the Steel. You can make a full day out of wrestling. Now, your wife is probably not going to be happy with that, but for those of you single guys out there, you don't have anything to do anyway. Go ahead.
Or if you have a wife like Steve's or Brian or yours, who'll put up with it.
Well, and some people's wives actually enjoy wrestling.
Yeah, I do enjoy wrestling. So I don't know.
You know what? If you want to stay home, send the wife to the show.
Yeah, that's not too smart. Hope you guys are really
equal
close.
opportunity.
I don't want to get
equal opportunity.
I don't want to get in trouble.
Yeah, but
I don't care.
It is what it is.
I have to hear about it.
If your relationship was strong enough, you wouldn't have to worry anyway.
That's right.
I trust my spouse and she trusts me, and with very good reason. So, I mean, what fun would it be to be married to somebody you had to worry about all the time? I mean, what's the fucking point?
Exhausting.
Yeah, I mean, what's the fucking point? Anyway, now that we've given you,
now we're going into a relationship. If you can't trust to hand your phone over to your spouse, then that's the problem now.
Yeah, exactly. If you have a different checking account than your spouse, that's a problem. And I love people that go, no, I want to have my own money. Me and my man's money ain't the same. Oh, okay, lady. Well, you're okay.
If you have to share a Facebook.
Yeah, that's the one.
Now, okay, we gotta
some people
start insulting some people.
Well, wait a minute. There's two type of that. If you have to share a Facebook because you've gotten in trouble in the past, that's type A. There's also type B, where one spouse wants to show the rest of the world how much fun they are having with their significant other, and the other spouse don't give a shit. And so the one spouse that wants to be a social butterfly just, names the Facebook page after both of them.
It's both. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
The emphasis on have to share a Facebook.
Yeah.
But you choose to.
That split is 70-30 to the first one.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Yeah,
or never mind. I'm going to say something and get in trouble. We better.
One of my I know that because one of my cousins who's been married for a long time, her and her husband have one of those combined Facebooks, and it's because she enjoys Facebook and he don't give a fuck. So that's why that's set up like it.
A bunch of my golf friends are like that.
Yeah, he never looks at it because I could be like, hey, I'm not going to use his real name. Hey, Jimmy, did I see you guys' company working on a building down in High Point when I was through there on Wednesday? And then I'll get the response, hey, Matt, now Jimmy doesn't really look at this page, but I'll ask him and get back to you. That's how I know it's like that. But anyway, so I guess we're going to get out of here, folks. Join us at Deal with the Steel Saturday night. We'd love to see you there. We got the best concessions in wrestling. And our wrestling promoters won't treat you like shit.
Well, most of it. You have to work really hard to get me mad at you. So, 99.9% of the people don't get shit.
Yeah. Your name starts with a J. You're probably in big trouble. But that's not because
Well,
your name
Steve missed that video last week.
not because your name starts with a J, but just because you're an asshole. But
You're gonna get me in now. I'm gonna get in trouble this way too.
no, I can take the heat for it. I don't mind. And besides, if anybody's watching, is there anybody still in the chat? Can you guys see?
I have
Two.
no idea. I quit. I
Two?
switched over to my real
Two.
one.
Two, yeah. So there's only 2 people left. By the time we get this deep in the show, nobody's watching anymore. The YouTube numbers back it up.
Oh well.
Statistically speaking, yeah. So
We
anyway,
got to the family advice, they turned off.
yeah, they're like,
Yeah, they're
I
like, don't
tuned
you
in.
tell me about my. She's only left me 16 times.
Yeah.
It's too late to apologize. Sorry.
I think when a relationship descends into physical violence, it might be time to break it off. Oh, you think so?
You're just to go back in time, just real quick, like with MySpace, like you knew when certain people broke up because of the song they put on their MySpace. So that's something that the youth doesn't know about is that MySpace used to be able to put, as soon as you came out, there was a song that would play immediately. And you always knew when certain people broke up because they put up the same song every time it happened. So
The song changed and the number 1 changed.
oh, good, because you could. That's right.
Yeah, because you publicly ranked your friends. That's why I never had
Top
one.
8.
The only thing it's funny. The only time I ever logged onto MySpace because I just wanted to see what it was all about. I was thinking of people that I knew who might have something cool on their MySpace page. So I typed in Brian Danzig, and when his page came up, there was a movie poster for something called Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, and and I thought, wow, okay, well, nobody's going to be able to top this. So, I never went back on there, but I do remember seeing that. And, but, I didn't even want to get on Facebook, but it was like when I went over to the Philippines the first time in 2009, you work with these people day in and day out for 3 months. You make friends, you want to stay in touch. I mean, what are you going to do? Call long distance? But we had Facebook, so that's why I ended up getting a Facebook page. So it's weird how things work out.
I feel wrestling's the reason I got mine, so I could keep up with the other promoters that I worked for, and here, networking.
Yeah. I don't know why.
And now I just share really stupid memes.
Remember MySpace used to be able to put HTML in it to change your look? Well, I got HTML from some website, and it put a virus on my computer, so I switched to Facebook.
Oh, MySpace virus, disease-ridden website.
Yeah,
it was on that website y'all can't see in North Carolina anymore, wasn't it?
Wait, what?
That was really fast. We'll have to rewind and see if we can't get that URL again. All right. We're running out of steam here. Let's get out of here. We'll be back with you hopefully next week to talk about the results at Deal with the Steel. But if you're anywhere 100 miles within Mount Airy, you don't want to miss this. It's Saturday night. I forgot to ask you guys how the Ivanhoe show went last night. You can give me a quick answer. You don't know?
I didn't go.
Didn't go? Okay.
No, I didn't have Brian had to work, and I wasn't going to drive 2 hours on my own. So.
I don't blame you. Especially up into that part of the country. I mean, you got to traverse freaking Fancy Gap Mountain at night. Not fun. Anyway, so we'll see you at Deal with the Steel on Saturday night in Mount Airy at Veterans Park, 691 Lebanon Street, West Lebanon Street, I believe, and Mount Airy. And come on down and see us. It's going to be great. All matches will be inside the steel cage. And don't forget the big main event, Lodi teams with Ty Tyson to take on Sudden Impact Lewis Moore and the legendary Mid-Atlantic WCW, WWF, hell, he's been everywhere star, the Barbarian. And special guest enforcer for that night, holding the key to the cage, the Russian Nightmare, Nikita Koloff. It's going to be unbelievable, and we can't wait to see you there. So for Stephen Hayes, Brian and Reagan Danzig, I am Mad Matt Carter. We'll see you next week, messed it up again. Sorry, Bob. Bob's watching Raleigh just shaking his head. We'll see you next week, fans. And until then, so long for now.